Hi, this is James Kandasamy. I'm welcoming all my multifamily investors group. I'm here in San Antonio on my another property. I think this is 150 units property here in South San Antonio. It's very pretty property, very beautiful. You're gonna walk with me, and we're gonna be covering cost segregation, depreciation, and bonus. Before we go further, I want to give you guys one tip that nobody else can give you. Right? This is a tip on how to increase your miscellaneous income. We have one deal in this property, one revenue stream that no other property has. And if you guys can see behind me, if you can show them the trees. Okay, that's a Chinese plum tree, and it's a. I just realized that it exists in my property, and the fruit. I tried it. It tastes really good. So we're gonna try to pack it and sell it as a miscellaneous income. That's one big tip that you don't have it. So if you look for any fruit tree in your properties, try to do miscellaneous income with that, which you can't do it with anybody else or any other revenue stream. So recently, all our investors got their K1, and even I was surprised to see when they put in 100K or 75K or even 200K, almost all of that got depreciated. And it's very special because for the next 3 years, or for the past since last year and for the next 3 years, there's something called bonus depreciation. That has been given by the new tax law that was passed in 2017. But I want to go through basics of depreciation first before going to cost segregation and bonus depreciation. So depreciation is basically when you have a commercial property, it has been written in the law that was passed by the Congress that every real estate asset class, not only commercial, even a single family home, depreciate by 27.5 years or 39 years. For residential, which is single family and multifamily, it's 27.5, and for commercial, which is like strip center, warehouse, industrial, self-storage, all are 39 years. So basically what they're saying is your property depreciate in value, right? So you take like $1 million of property and divide that by a straight line depreciation every year. For residentials, 27.5. So I'm going to focus more on the 27.5, and you can extrapolate for 39 years for the other commercial real estate asset classes. But commercial, which is residential, apartments, and single family, is all 27.5 years. So what they do is they separate the property into two. One is the land and one is the building, right? So which is called the unimproved asset and improved asset. Improved asset is the buildings. Unimproved is the land, right? So land, you can't touch it. The value doesn't depreciate, but the building does depreciate. And that is what it means by depreciation. So that depreciation of real estate asset classes has been there for a very long time. But however, in 1999, there was a lawsuit filed by Hospital Corporation versus the IRS, where the decision of the court was ruled against in favor of the hospital corporation. So what the hospital have done is, I think they've depreciated like $20 million of what you call as a tangible property, which is the property which is not part of the real property. So I'm going to quickly explain in a short while what is real and tangible. But what they have done is they said all the capital asset inside the hospital is not really need to be depreciated over 27.5 years, because a lot of times it's depreciated much faster. So they won the lawsuit in 1999, and what the IRS have said is any properties that has been purchased, remodeled, or built after 1986 of December 31st of 1986, they allow it to go with something called a cost segregation. So I think I already explained the cost segregation, the depreciation side. So let me explain about the cost segregation. So what they do in cost segregation is they look at the building or the improvement of the land. Except for the land, everything else can be depreciated, right? So what they do is they look at the building and they look at the inside of the building. We're going to go and walk into some of the units, and I'm going to show you what exactly it's being done in terms of cost segregation. So what the cost segregation does, they split the components of the building and the shell of the building into 5, 7, 15, and 27.5 years. So 27.5 years is the shell of the building. So if you look at the buildings here, you're going to show that. You're going to look at the buildings. All the buildings, that's a shell, is depreciated over 27.5 years. However, there's also 5-year depreciation, there's also 7 years depreciation, and you can see the office area over here. Office area is depreciated across 7 years, right? All the common area, furnitures, all are depreciated in 7 years term, right? And we're going to go into the model unit, come over here. And the other thing that you want to look at is all the landscaping here. You want to show all the landscaping, and landscaping, fence, and all the like swimming pool, that's all depreciated in 15 years. 5 years, we're going to go into the model and see. 15 years is all the landscaping, the pool, the fences, all are 15 years. 7 years is all the offices and the furnitures inside the offices. And we're going to, the 27.5 is the building, which is the shell of the overall property, right? So let's go into the one of the model unit, and I'm going to show you what is the 5 years that we are talking about in terms of depreciation. This is where the IRS have agreed in general after the lawsuit that what happened is that it does make sense that some of the asset really, it doesn't make sense to depreciate over 27.5 years. As usual, our model is very pretty, designed by my wife Shanti. So if you see a model, this has all the residents, I mean assumed to be residence property, right? But we are not care about that. The 5 years that they talk about is basically the appliance package. So if you look at the appliance package here, you have dishwasher, you have fridge, you have a stove, and you have vent hood. All that's depreciated on 5-year term, right? And also the carpets and flooring is all 5 years. Keep in mind, I'm not the expert in cost segregation and bonus depreciation. There are people in the group like Yona Weiss and Josh Shipman who can answer a lot of more questions in detail, and they can correct me if I'm done, if I've given any misinformation here, but at a high level, this should be accurate enough. So you have seen what are the things that are being depreciated in 5 years. You have seen 7 years, which is the office and the furnitures inside the office, and the 15 years is the landscaping, sidewalks, driveways, and also fences, other land and other land improvements, swimming pools, and 27.5 years is the shell. So there's two types of depreciation, right? So as I mentioned, there's 27.5 years, which is a straight line depreciation. But the cost segregation is, as I mean, they have split it up all these assets or improvements into different years, 5, 7, 15, and 27.5 years. And what they have done is they are depreciating that on a 5-year basis or 7-year basis or 15-year basis and 27.5. So what happened is you have a lot of depreciation in the front loaded of the acquisition, which means properties that are doing cost segregation will see a lot more numbers in terms of depreciation, larger numbers in the 5, 7, 15 years at right term. But a lot of times when you're keeping the property for more than 5 years, it does make sense. If you sell below less than 5 years, what happens is you have to recapture all that depreciation recapture that you have taken. Before I go to the sale of the property, what happens, because that's one of the questions that some of the group members have asked, what happened with the sale? Let me go through quickly on bonus depreciation. So the Trump tax law, which was passed, 2017, I think it was really passed in 2018, but it was enacted in 2000, it was started in 2017, but passed in 2018. So what happened during the Trump tax law is basically they have given for the next 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, something called bonus depreciation to basically stimulate the economy. So what they have done is they say not only on newly constructed property, but even on the currently properties that already been constructed and being used, and we are buying it as it is, even on that property, they're going to give us a bonus depreciation. So bonus depreciation is what happened is, if you see like 3, 7, 15, 27.5, 3, 7, 15.5. So what happened is in the 3, 7, and 15 years, bonus depreciation means they take all that 15 years and depreciate it on the first year. So what our investors have seen, all of their capital, let's say they put in 100,000 or 50,000 or 75,000 or more than 100,000, almost 95% or almost everything got depreciated because of the huge amount of depreciation that has been given by the new law, which is for all the properties that was purchased last year, this year, and next year, right? What has happened is they have seen a big depreciation happening, right? So that's what meaning of bonus depreciation. That's why a lot of people have seen a huge reduction of their capital on paper loss, which is basically paper loss on their K1s this year. So what happens when you sell? So basically the way that cost segregation works is on the paper is there's two worlds in real estate, right? One is called the investment world and the other one is called the tax world. So I'm not talking about the investment world because this is all paper loss, which is basically a tax world thing. So on a tax world, whenever you are depreciating your asset on a certain percentage or certain number every year, it reduces your cost basis. And this cost basis will need to be recaptured back when you sell. So when you sell, you have actually basically, let's say you reduce 100,000. When you sell, you're recapturing 25% of that 100,000 back at sale, saying that your cost basis has been reduced, but when you recapture at 25%. So that is just on the depreciation. So that's why we say it makes sense to sell after 5 years, because a big chunk of your depreciation, especially on the appliances, depreciate on the first 5 years. In fact, all appliances depreciate on the first 5 years, and the flooring and the carpets, all that depreciate in the first 5 years. So that's what happened at sale. You have to recapture it back. A lot of times CPAs does it. There are a lot of tricks that's being done. Not say tricks, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go around recapturing everything that you have depreciated. The CPA will be able to explain to you. I'm not going to tell you during the Facebook live video because it can be a bit tricky. But the CPA has ways to work around it, right? Rather than recapturing everything back or 25%, they want to recapture probably 10% of the whatever has been recaptured. So there's a lot of tricks, or I wouldn't say tricks, there's a lot of ways that a CPA can do it. If you have a lot of questions, please put in the comment. If you're seeing this video live, put L, and if you're seeing on a replay, just put R. But make sure you ask questions, because we have a lot of experts in the group that are able to answer all the questions that you have with regards to bonus depreciation, and cost segregations. I think I'm done, and hopefully you got a lot of tips out of this Facebook Live. And the most important tip is the miscellaneous income that I showed you. Thank you. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully you all let other friends know about this multifamily investors group. We are hoping to grow this group to the next level, and I need all of your support to let other people know. Thank you.